Hi everyone, my name is Krishna Parikh and you're tuned into Urban Asian. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking to someone who is on a mission to heal the world with music. He is the coolest sitarist, music producer, and the youngest and the last student of Sitar Maestro, Pandit Ravi Shankar. Please welcome Rishab Rikhiram Sharma. Hi Rishab,
Hello
how are you?
everyone.
How's it
Hi,
going?
how
How's
are
it
you?
going?
I'm good. I'm good. A little under the weather, but can't complain.
Well, thanks for your time and thanks for talking to us at Urban Asian.
hmm Oh, my
Um,
pleasure.
yeah, so can we like start at the very beginning? When did
Hmm.
you fall in love with Sitar?
Um, so the story is really funny because as a child, my parents did not let me touch sitar for a very long time because I belong from a family of musical instrument makers. So
Hmm.
we have been making musical instruments since 1920. So like my great grandfather started the business, and we call it Rikhiram. So he started the business um, with his own name.
Hmm.
So we have a lot of reverence and a lot of respect and regard for Indian classical instruments. So
Hmm.
when I was a child, I would try to get my hands on it, but my parents were like, "No, you're not allowed. You have to. It's a very sacred instrument. So you're gonna break it,
Yeah.
or just hurt yourself. You'll break a
Hmm.
pop a string and hurt yourself."
Hmm.
So that's sort of when when someone tells you not to do something, then you want to
You
do
want
it
to
even
do
more. So that thing was going on in my head, but at the same time, I was learning guitar.
it? Hmm.
I was about 9 when I started playing the guitar, and sort of um, got like pretty decent at it. Where I
Hmm.
was like playing songs and like bar chords and everything. So this one day, this like sitar comes from a broken shipment,
Hmm.
and like a customer returned the sitar because it was like literally in two pieces.
Hmm.
And my dad like fixed it, and he just like left it on the wall to dry.
Yeah.
And so I saw it for a couple of days. I was like, okay, maybe it's not dry yet. Let me ask like after like 2 days. So after that 2 days, I finally built up the courage, and I asked him, Papa, can I try this sitar? It's already broken. How much more I can break it? Like
Yeah.
it's like literally it was broken. So he was like, okay, give it a shot. And so I held the sitar in my hand, and I just noticed that it's very similar to the guitar because both of them have frets.
Hmm.
And I've seen like my dad like make these instruments, tie the frets, everything. So I started playing, whatever I knew on the guitar, and
Hmm.
figured out like sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa sa ni dha ma ga re sa within minutes, and started playing like film songs, Bollywood songs, popular songs.
At
Green Day
nine
was
years.
very big. I was like 10 around that time.
10.
So
Okay.
I had been playing guitar for a while, for a year or so, and then I sort of this event happened.
Hmm.
And so my dad was really impressed. He was like, "Wow, how did you learn all this?" I was like, "It's just like the guitar, it's very, very similar, the strings and
Hmm.
the frets." And he was like, "Okay." So, he said, "Kal se, you're from tomorrow, I'm just gonna start teaching you."
Yeah.
So my dad was my first guru. Like
Wow.
he was the first person who taught me. And then I performed for my grandfather's Barsi, as in like a birth anniversary, but
Hmm.
it's like celebrating his life. He passed away, a few like 4 years ago.
Hmm.
So my dad wanted me to, sort of pay tribute to him by playing,
Hmm.
and that's what that was like my very first stage performance, and I was about like 11 years old around that time. And I have had been learning sitar from my dad, for a year or so, like less than a year.
Hmm.
And then I performed there, and that video somehow got on YouTube. Like someone from the audience put that
Published it.
clip up, and my Guruji saw that video.
Wow.
My now Guruji saw that video, which is Pandit Ravi Shankar.
Hmm.
And then he immediately called my dad, and he was so excited. He was like, because my dad makes his instruments. I
Hmm.
made an instrument, sorry. And he was so excited. He was like, Rishabh has started playing sitar. That's amazing. Bring him over when I come to Delhi. And when he did come and we went there, and he surprised us by offering me to become his disciple.
Wow.
which was very inspiring. I think that's sort of like the moment I fell in love with the sitar, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this my life. I was
That's
merely like
awesome.
what 11 years to 12 years of age.
Wow. But how was the experience learning from the great maestro?
It was it was tough, not gonna
Yeah.
lie. It was, yeah, he was
Was
a
he a
very
tough
strict
teacher?
teacher. Oh, he was a very strict teacher. But the strictness was only when he was teaching, but not like it wouldn't come out of the music room. As soon as he would keep the sitar down, sweetest person on the earth. And he would
Wow.
talk to me about like my girlfriends and what's your favorite food, just like everything. He was a very curious man.
Yeah.
He loved interacting with like younger people.
Hmm.
So he wasn't like very stiff that way. So I had a great time with him, but also there were times where he would like scold me and he'd be like, are you stupid or what? So we got like our share of scolding and some beating also. But it was a beautiful experience. I'm glad that I went through all that discipline and training that he gave me that otherwise I wouldn't have encountered it like and like nowadays.
Yeah, and I think you're doing great, and
Oh, thank
that
you.
kind of like leads me to the next topic because you've sort of initiated this whole thing of mental health and connecting that to music. And
Yeah.
I know you had just, was it last week or the week before, you had the mental health for Sitar event for your birthday. Happy belated
Yes.
birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
How was that event? And tell me how you started with the whole mental health for Sitar.
Siddharth for mental health.
Yeah.
So Siddharth for mental health was started like in amidst the pandemic, but like now that I look back, I have always turned to Sitar for like sort of being my happy place and sort of like self therapy even.
Hmm.
So even when I was like angry about something, I would, even as a kid, I would just go to my sitar and just practice for hours and sort of like just let those emotions flow.
Wow.
But sitar for mental health was born when after I lost my grandfather in 2020 September, and it was just like a couple of weeks before my birthday.
Hmm.
And I was very close to him, even more than my parents. He
Yeah.
was like my third parent. He was my best friend. I was any like morning assembly or like school show that I would play, he would be there in first row, cheering for me.
Wow.
And so we shared a very beautiful relationship, and it hurt me really bad when we lost him. And I lost my biggest fan, and I was naturally, grieving his death, and I was like depressed, and
Mm.
I was going through a lot of anxiety as well.
Yeah.
So I, stopped practicing, and I wasn't playing for a good amount of days,
Hmm.
and I would just be locked in my room, not eating properly, not sleeping properly, just a whole mess. And then I spoke to my friends about it, and they said, you should try for therapy, because uh, because right now it's okay that you're grieving, so you're this pattern, but this cannot become a pattern, or this cannot like go on for long.
Yeah.
So you need to like just get it right away. So I, sought out for help, but I could not find any therapists because they were all booked up, a pandemic backlog or whatever you want to call it. But I could not find an appointment for like 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like so
Especially during the
frustrated.
pandemic. Yeah.
Yes, and it was 2021 at that time,
Hmm.
and then I finally just went to a psychiatrist,
Hmm.
which was very funny because I didn't know. I was like, it's the same thing, right? Because that's just like my ignorance about mental health. So I just went to a psychiatrist, and I started talking to him like he was my therapist. And so he was like, Rishabh, you know that I'm a psychiatrist, right? And he was a very nice. He was Desi as well. He was
Yeah.
he's from India. He's like talking to me like his son, Rishabh, you know that I'm a psychiatrist, right? I prescribe medication. I don't like. I'm not. I mean, I am trained to be a therapist, but like this is not what I do. I
Mm.
was like, yeah, I know, but like I could not find any appointment, so please hear me out. I think I'll just like make me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So he was very nice. Sat there and took notes and
Mm-hmm.
listened to me. And so the juice of the conversation was that music has been a big coping mechanism for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of form of therapy that I've been attached to since my very childhood, and giving that away is not a good idea. So go back, start practicing, and let's just see how you feel. After that, I sort of, to fight my own anxiety and uh, like depression, whatever I was going through, like just to have an outlet, I just started going live on Instagram and Clubhouse, which was very popular at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone I knew was on Clubhouse, like chilling, and I was like, "What is this app?" And it was only invite, like you can only
Invite
join
only,
it.
yeah.
I was invite only, and so I got an invite from a friend, and I joined Clubhouse, and it was like the most amazing thing because I don't have to show my face, and it's audio only. I was like, okay, great. So I just started like hosting rooms and playing, and first there would be like three people, and next day there would be like six people. Then I saw like just the audience building up, and now, like, I mean, at Clubhouse's peak, there were like 4,000 people at one time
Wow.
listening to, my sitar. So on Instagram also, like, we started with like 30 people, then it became to like 300 people. Now they're like 4 or 5,000 people who join in, and that's how the community grew. And it would be such a beautiful space because, I won't be just playing the sitar. I
Mm-hmm.
was also like sharing that I lost my grandfather. And I'm grieving. And there were a lot of people who lost their parents,
Yeah.
friends, and everyone. So it was
Mhm.
like a beautiful space that we shared and were sort of being vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I started calling them Satafa mental health events, because
Because of
it's
that.
sort of no, because people would share that your music is like balm on my wounds,
Yeah.
and it's like really helping me cope with whatever we are feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, what better than just calling it Sitar for mental health?
The fact that you actually sought out, like-minded people on Instagram or Clubhouse and held this like safe space for everybody to just join and just kind of just be there. That's beautiful.
Mm.
That's
And
amazing.
it wasn't only just music. It was also like I would have people recite poetry.
Wow.
I would just hop in with their instruments, and sitar and poetry was really
Mm-hmm.
that's something that we did like a weekly thing. That was
Wow.
so
That
nice.
sounds beautiful. I missed out. Where does Rishabh draw his inspiration from when you're creating in the studio or you're just learning a new song?
Hmm.
How do you stay motivated to actually just get up and do the riyaz every morning or whenever you do your practices? What inspires you?
Obviously, my Guruji, and during the pandemic, there was a lot of influx of his old videos coming in because people were home and they were finding these new, like all this content that
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to like just sort of put out,
Mm-hmm.
and so there was like a huge, influx of Guruji's old videos, and that sort of made me um, like kept me motivated throughout the pandemic also to
Yeah.
like keep practicing. So I discovered like new recordings that I had never even heard of.
Mm-hmm.
And as of composition, I looked up to him. I look up to Kanye West a lot. That's just
Wow. That's a
yeah,
revelation.
yeah. I'm huge into hip hop. Like I listen to all kinds of music,
Mm-hmm.
but Kanye has been like very instrumental in sort of inspiring me to like do something different and think out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I would say these two are like my biggest influences. So if you wanna,
That's pretty opposite and amazing. Like they're like
yeah,
the opposite spectrum.
yeah,
That's pretty cool though.
mm,
I know you talked about like touring. I know you've toured all over India, um,
yeah,
and America, and I know you also performed at the biggest event for Modi in Texas, Howdy Modi,
yes,
right?
yes,
How was that
yeah.
experience?
Oh, it was amazing. Just being in a stadium full of 65,000 people was,
Yeah, that's huge.
you just feel like a rock star. And there was a moment where I was playing Sare Jahan Se Acha,
Yeah.
and literally each and every soul in that stadium was singing along. So
Wow.
you just cannot believe that that music has that power that sort of brings everyone together. It was all the politics aside, all the
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever happens in the world, but like I was there for the people more than anyone else, and it was like just a very beautiful moment that we all shared. And that
And I saw like comments too, is that what people actually remembered the most out of that event? They're like, the sitar player was so cool. Like that was the best act of the entire show. What are you working on these days? Any like projects or releases that we can be on the lookout for?
so I have been working on this EP called Sitar and Chill,
Uh-huh.
and I'm sort of
Cool
like,
name.
hmm?
Cool name.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking, that I want to make like romantic sitar music,
Mm,
like a cool bedroom vibe sort of a thing. So that's the EP I'm working on, and then I've been dropping different projects from my album Navras,
hmm.
which means nine emotions.
Yeah.
So next one is dropping in on Halloween, which is Fear. So no better day to drop it.
Yeah.
And then so I've been just making like very cool bhajans, like
That's
songs about God,
yeah. Yeah.
like storytelling through music and using just like modern production techniques.
That's
Like
awesome.
I don't know if you've heard Tandavam, but that
I,
was like
I
the
was
anger.
I was just gonna mention it. I swear to God, I was just gonna mention it. Like I saw that video recently too. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Tandavam is like the anger emotion, which
Yes.
depicts anger and frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to make a nice and a more modern version of like the Shiv Tandav that we've grown up listening
Mm-hmm.
to.
Yeah.
So something more relatable.
So a bit of a controversial question for you.
Okay.
I've been noticing a lot on social media, there's a
Hmm.
trend of like influencers and other artists using, you know, clips of music like
Hmm.
yours without actually giving you credit.
Hmm.
So, what are your thoughts on that, and how do you think it affects the actual artists that are like trying to put out their work?
Hmm. So, I mean, that has happened with me a couple of times,
Yeah.
and I'm a nice person. Like when it comes to like giving benefit of doubt.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think it's their team that's handling
Mm,
their social media. They might not know. They just like get these reels and just upload it.
mm-hmm,
Because there was an instance, some big personality used my audio, and it said it was like original audio by them.
mm.
But since when did you start playing sitar? Like,
Exactly.
and
Yep.
so well.
I've noticed that. Exactly. I've noticed that.
Yeah. So it's funny to me, but at the end of the day, people recognize like who owns that audio and um who's played that audio. So there was like tons of like my followers who stormed that video and just like audio credit Rishabs
Like,
music.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly, right?
So it's frustrating, but it's also I like to be understanding. But okay, if you have identified your mistake, just fix it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So, um, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't affect me in any way. I mean, I mean, I'm still in the same position, but it would uplift my position if you give me that credit.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, we'll kind of jump into some fun questions.
Oh, thank
Um,
God.
who are some artists that you wish and dream to collaborate with?
As I said, Kanye West, 100%. Um, I like Drake,
Yeah,
so and just for the culture, I would love to do something with Nav.
nice.
Diljit Dosanjh also. Yeah.
That would be pretty dope.
Hmm.
Um, if not sitar or music,
Hmm.
then what would you doing?
I was actually thinking about it that day. Either I would have been a psychologist or an artist, like a painter or like a.
Oh, do you paint?
No, I used to as a kid, but then I
Okay.
left everything and started. I'm really bad at it, but like I was at one point I was really good.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you
Yeah.
can start again.
I don't know. So maybe it's too late now.
Sitar and paint night sessions.
I did something like that, believe it or not. During pandemic, I was playing and people were painting like whatever they were feeling.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, okay. This is a funny one.
Hmm.
How many hours a day do you practice? Do you like eat leaven bread like with your sitar, or like do you have some space away? Like how many hours a day do you practice usually?
See, I would be lying that I would if I say that, oh, every day I practice for X amount of hours, because
Mhm.
it varies. I have some of my low days when I'm not feeling like it, so I don't play at all.
Yeah,
Um, but those are rare. I at least play for about like 2 to 3 hours every day.
that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's
and then there's
dedication.
teaching also,
And there's
teaching time
teaching
also.
exactly. You teach as
So
well.
it is a full-time job
Yeah.
if you take account of like the amount of hours I spend with the sitar.
Wow. And where do you see yourself as an artist in the next 5 years? Have you thought about that?
Yes, I want to travel the world and grow sitar for mental health as much as I can,
Mm-hmm.
and at least I want every person on this planet to have heard sitar once at least, and so that's when I can be like, okay, time to move on to the next project.
This was such a fun chat, Rishabh. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time. And we look forward to seeing more from you on your social.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for listening to me and Urban Asian. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, guys. And I'm really looking forward for this to come out and I can share it.
Awesome.
Okay. Hi, this is Rishab Rikhiram Sharma, and you're tuned into Urban Asian.